George Gordon Meade, a name etched in the annals of American history, yet one often overshadowed by his most famous contemporaries. A man of quiet resolve and steadfast duty, Meade's actions on the battlefield of Gettysburg would prove pivotal in turning the tide of the Civil War. But Meade was much more than just the hero of Gettysburg. He was a soldier, an engineer, a devoted family man, and a leader whose contributions were crucial to the Union's ultimate victory. Join us as we journey through the life of General George G. Meade, exploring the man behind the uniform, his trials and triumphs, and his enduring legacy. George Gordon Meade was born on December 31st, 1815, in the vibrant port city of Cadiz, Spain. His father, Richard Warsom Meade, was a prominent American merchant and naval agent. Richard had built a successful business empire in Spain, supplying the U.S. Navy and engaging in various trade ventures. George's mother, Margaret Coates Butler Meade, was of Irish descent and came from a well-respected family in Philadelphia. The Meades were well off, living in relative luxury among the expatriate community in Spain. However, the Meade family's fortunes took a devastating turn when Richard's business ventures collapsed due to political instability and the loss of ships at sea. Financial ruin forced the Meades to return to the United States in 1817, settling in Philadelphia. The once prosperous family now faced financial hardship, and George's early years were marked by a sense of insecurity and the need to rebuild. Philadelphia in early 19th century was a city of contrast, one of the largest and most important cities in the young United States, but also a place where the struggles of daily life were evident. It was in this environment that the young George Meade grew up, learning the values of hard work, perseverance, and duty to one's country. George was educated at Mount Hope Institution in Baltimore, Maryland, where he received a solid foundation in classical studies. His academic performance was steady, but not exceptional, reflecting his growing interest in practical pursuit rather than scholarly endeavor. In 1831, at the age of 15, Meade's life took a decisive turn when he was appointed to the United States Military Academy at West Point. West Point was the premier military institution in the United States, renowned for its rigorous academic and physical training. Cadets were expected to adhere to a strict code of conduct, balance their studies in mathematics, engineering, and military science with demanding physical drills and discipline. For the young George Meade, West Point was both a challenge and an opportunity. Meade was not a top student at the academy. He struggled with some of the more advanced mathematical courses, but he was determined to succeed. His perseverance paid off, and in 1835, he graduated 19th out of 56 in his class, an achievement that reflected his growing sense of responsibility and duty. Upon graduation, Meade was commissioned as a brevet second lieutenant in the 3rd U.S. Artillery, beginning what would be a long and distinguished military career. His first assignment took him to Florida, where the United States was engaged in the Second Seminole War. This conflict, fought between the U.S. government and the Seminole people, who resisted removal from their ancestral lands, was brutal and challenging. For Meade, it was a harsh introduction to military life. The Second Seminole War was marked by difficult terrain, guerrilla tactics, and a determined resistance by the Seminoles. Meade's experience in Florida was one of frustration and disillusionment. The war was not going well for U.S. forces, and Meade found himself questioning his role in what seemed like an unwinnable conflict. The lack of progress and the grueling condition took their toll on the young officer. And in 1836, after just 1 year of service, Meade made the difficult decision to resign from the army. Following his resignation, Meade turned to the field of civil engineering, a profession that was in high demand in the rapidly expanding United States. He secured a position with the War Department, working on various infrastructure projects, including the construction of lighthouses, canals, and survey of potential railroad routes. Meade's work as a civil engineer was characterized by precision, attention to detail, and a deep understanding of the practical needs of the projects he undertook. Among his notable contributions were the Brandywine Shoal lighthouses in Delaware Bay and the Bergnay Lighthouse on the coast of New Jersey. These structures, designed to guide ships safely through treacherous waters, were a testament to Meade's engineering expertise. His work was not just functional, it was also innovative, incorporating new technologies and materials to improve durability and effectiveness. Despite his success as an engineer, Meade's sense of duty to his country never waned. The outbreak of the Mexican-American War in 1846 provided the impetus for his return to military service. Recognizing the need for skilled engineers, Meade rejoined the Army as a second lieutenant in the Corps of Topographical Engineers. The Mexican-American War was a defining conflict for the young United States, pitting American forces against Mexico in a struggle for territory that would ultimately reshape the map of North America. Meade was assigned to the U.S. Army's Engineering Corps, where he played a vital role in planning and executing operations during the campaign. Meade participated in several key battles, including the Siege of Veracruz, where his engineering skills were critical in constructing fortifications and siege works. His efforts contributed to the successful American assault on the city, a victory that paved the way for the capture of Mexico City. Meade also saw action at the Battle of Monterey, where his calm demeanor under fire earned him the respect of his comrades. For his service in the Mexican-American War, Meade was promoted to first lieutenant, a recognition of his growing importance within the Army. With the war's end, Meade returned to his peacetime duties, once again focusing on engineering projects that would benefit the country. In the years following the Mexican-American War, Meade's contributions to the nation's infrastructure continued to grow. As a member of the Corps of Topographical Engineers, he was responsible for overseeing a wide range of projects aimed at improving navigation, defending the coast, and supporting and expanding transportation networks of the United States. One of Meade's most significant achievements during this period was his work on the construction of lighthouses along the Atlantic coast. These lighthouses were essential for ensuring the safety of maritime commerce, guiding ships through dangerous waters, and preventing shipwrecks. Meade's designs were notable for their durability and effectiveness, often incorporating the latest technology advancements of the time. In addition to his work on lighthouses, Meade played a key role in the development of coastal fortifications. These fortifications were part of a broader effort to defend the United States from potential foreign threats, particularly after the aftermath of the Mexican-American War. Meade's engineering expertise was critical in designing and constructing these defenses, which would later prove invaluable during the Civil War. As the 1850s drew to a close, the United States found itself increasingly divided over the issue of slavery. Tensions between the northern and southern states escalated, leading to the secession of southern states and the outbreak of the Civil War in 1861. Meade was now a seasoned military engineer, was called upon to serve once again, this time in a conflict that would determine the future of the country. In August of 1861, Meade was appointed Brigadier General of Volunteers, a significant promotion that reflected the trust placed in his abilities. His first command was of the 2nd Brigade of Pennsylvania Reserves, part of the Army of the Potomac. Meade quickly proved himself a capable and determined leader, earning the respect of his men through his attention to their needs and his calm demeanor under pressure. Meade's first major test came during the Peninsula Campaign in 1862, when Union forces under George B. McClellan attempted to capture the Confederate capital of Richmond, Virginia. Meade's brigade was heavily engaged in the 7 Days Battle, a series of fierce engagements that ultimately ended in a Confederate victory. At the Battle of Meckinsville, Meade's men held their ground against repeated Confederate assaults, earning him praise for his leadership and bravery. However, it was at the Battle of Glendale that Meade truly demonstrated his resolve, leading his men in a desperate defense. Meade was severely wounded in the side and arm. Despite his injuries, he refused to leave the field until his brigade was safely withdrawn. Meade's actions at Glendale solidified his reputation as a fearless and committed leader, and he was promoted to Major General of Volunteers later that year. Meade's next major engagement came at the Battle of Fredericksburg in December of 1862, a battle that will go down in history as one of the most disastrous Union defeats. Under the command of Ambrose Burnside, the Army of the Potomac launched a series of futile frontal assaults against well-entrenched Confederate positions on Marye's Heights. Thousands of Union soldiers were cut down by Confederate fire, and the battle ended in a humiliating defeat for the Union. In the midst of the carnage, Meade's division was tasked with leading an assault on the Confederates' right flank. Unlike the attacks on Marye's Heights, Meade's assault achieved some initial success, breaking through the Confederate lines and threatening to turn the tide of the battle. However, a lack of reinforcements and a miscommunication among Union commanders forced Meade to withdraw, and the opportunity was lost. Despite the overall defeat, Meade's actions at Fredericksburg were a rare bright spot, and he emerged from battle with his reputation intact. The winter of 1862 to 1863 was a time of discontent for the Army of the Potomac. The defeat at Fredericksburg had demoralized the troops, and confidence in General Burnside's leadership was at an all-time low. Meade, now in command of the Union 5th Corps, found himself in a difficult position of maintaining discipline and morale among his men, while grappling with the Army's leadership challenges. Despite these difficulties, Meade continued to demonstrate his commitment to the Union cause. He worked tirelessly to improve the condition of his soldiers, ensuring they were adequately supplied and prepared for the next campaign. His efforts did not go unnoticed, and when Burnside was replaced by General Joseph Hooker in early 1863, Meade was seen as one of the few capable in the Army of the Potomac. Meade's defining moment came in the summer of 1863, when General Robert E. Lee's Confederate Army of Northern Virginia launched its second invasion of the North. The Union needed a commander who would rally the demoralized Army of the Potomac and stop Lee's advance. On June 28th, just 3 days before the Battle of Gettysburg, Meade was appointed commander of the Army of the Potomac. Assuming command in the midst of an ongoing campaign, Meade faced the daunting task of directing his army against a formidable and confident opponent. The stakes could not have been any higher. The outcome of this battle would likely determine the course of the entire war. The Battle of Gettysburg began on July 1st, 1863, with Union Confederate forces clashing west of the town. As the fighting intensified, Meade skillfully positioned his forces along the high ground south of Gettysburg, forming a strong defensive line on Cemetery Hill, Cemetery Ridge, and the Little Round Top. Over the next 2 days, Meade's leadership strategic acumen would be put to the ultimate test. On July 2nd, the second day of the battle, Lee launched a series of ferocious assaults on the Union flanks, aiming to break through and envelop Meade's forces. The fighting was brutal, with key positions such as Little Round Top, the wheat field, and the peach orchard becoming scenes of desperate and bloody combat. Meade's decision to reinforce vulnerable positions at critical moments provided crucial, and the Union lines held. The climax of the battle came on July 3rd, when Lee ordered a massive frontal assault on the center of the Union line, known as Pickett's Charge. Meade's anticipating the attack had fortified his center with artillery and reserves. As the Confederate soldiers advanced across the open field, they were met with devastating artillery fire and determined resistance from Union infantry. The charge was repulsed with heavy losses, and the Confederate army was forced to retreat. The Union victory at Gettysburg was complete, and it marked a turning point in the Civil War. Meade's leadership during the Battle of Gettysburg earned him the gratitude of the Union and a place in history. However, the victory was not without controversy. Some criticized Meade for not pursuing and destroying Lee's army as it retreated back into Virginia, believing that a more aggressive pursuit could have ended the war sooner. Despite this, Meade's conduct at Gettysburg remains a testament to his ability to command under the most challenging of circumstances. After Gettysburg, Meade continued to command the Army of the Potomac, but his role became increasingly overshadowed by the arrival of Ulysses S. Grant as General-in-Chief of all Union armies in 1864. Grant and Meade worked together during the Overland Campaign, a brutal series of battles aimed at wearing down Lee's forces through relentless pressure. The Overland Campaign began in May of 1864 with the Battle of the Wilderness, a chaotic and deadly struggle in the dense forests of Virginia. Despite suffering heavy casualties, Meade and Grant refused to retreat, continuing their advance towards Richmond. The campaign saw some of the bloodiest battles of the war, including Spotsylvania Courthouse, where the infamous Bloody Angle became a symbol of the campaign's ferocity, and Cold Harbor, where disastrous Union assaults led to staggering losses. Throughout the Overland Campaign, Meade was responsible for tactical execution of Grant's strategy. He faced immense challenges, from coordinating large-scale maneuvers to maintaining the morale of his battle-weary troops. Despite the hardships, Meade's leadership was instrumental in keeping the Army of the Potomac effective in the face of relentless combat. As the campaign progressed, the Union forces eventually laid siege to Petersburg, a critical supply hub for the Confederates. The siege of Petersburg would last for 9 grueling months, with both sides entrenched in a deadly stalemate. Meade's role during the siege was crucial in maintaining the pressure on Confederate forces and coordinating the complex logistics of the siege warfare. The Siege of Petersburg culminated in April 1865 with the breakthrough of Union forces, leading to the fall of Richmond and the eventual surrender of Lee's army at Appomattox Courthouse on April 6, 1865. Meade was present at the official surrender, witnessing the culmination of years of bloodshed, sacrifice. The Union victory was complete, and the Civil War was finally over. With the end of the war, Meade's military career came to a close. He was promoted to Major General in the regular army, a recognition of his service and contribution to the Union's victory. Despite his achievements, Meade's post-war life was not without challenges. He faced criticism from some quarters for his perceived lack of aggressiveness, particularly regarding the pursuit of Lee after the Gettysburg campaign. Nevertheless, his peers and the soldiers who served under him held him in high regard, recognizing the immense pressure and responsibility he bore during the war. Meade's post-war years were spent in various military commands, including overseeing Reconstruction efforts in the South. He was appointed as the military governor of the 3rd Military District, which encompassed Georgia, Alabama, and Florida, where he worked to enforce the Reconstruction Acts and support the rights of newly freed African Americans. His efforts were marked by a commitment to fairness and justice, even as he navigated the complex and often volatile politics of the Reconstruction era. In addition to his military duties, Meade remained active in public life, contributing to the development of veterans organizations and participating in various civic endeavors. He was also involved in planning and reconstruction of the Soldiers' National Cemetery at Gettysburg, ensuring that the memory of those who had fought and died there would be honored for generations to come. Meade's health, however, began to deteriorate in the years following the war. The physical and mental toll of his wartime service, combined with chronic illness, led to his untimely death on November 6, 1872, at the age of 56. He was buried in Laurel Hill Cemetery in Philadelphia, where his grave became a place of pilgrimage for those who recognize his contribution to the nation. Today, General Meade is remembered as one of the unsung heroes of the American Civil War. His leadership at Gettysburg, his commitment to duty, and his dedication to the Union cause have earned him a place among great military leaders of American history. Though he may have not sought the limelight, Meade's contributions were vital to the Union's victory and the preservation of the United States. Meade's legacy lives on in the monuments and memorials dedicated to his memory, from statues at Gettysburg that honor his leadership, to the numerous streets, schools, and military installations named in his honor. His life serves as a reminder of sacrifices made by those who served in the Civil War and the enduring importance of their struggle for the nation's ideals. As we reflect on the life of General George G. Meade, we are reminded that history is not just the story of great battles and famous names, but also of the quiet, steadfast individuals who, through their courage and perseverance, shaped the course of history. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the life of George G. Meade. His story is a testament to the enduring spirit of those who fought to preserve the Union and the values upon which it was founded. As we remember his legacy, let us also honor the memory of all those who served in the American Civil War and strive to uphold the principles for which they fought. If you enjoyed this exploration of Meade's life and would like to learn more about the people and events that shaped our history, please subscribe to our channel, History with Tim, and consider supporting our National Parks Preservation Fund to help preserve these important sites for future generations.